It's so good. All right.
We're doing it.
We're doing it.
We're doing that.
Hello.
This is the Flippin Awesome Podcast, episode uno.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, this is a hot take. First episode, building the plane while we're flying the plane. We don't know exactly where this is going to land, but it's going to revolve what episode one's all about. It's called Flip Yeah, Faith, Family, and Flip Phoning It Through Life. So fun fact about us is we're brothers.
That's right.
We're friends. We're co-founders of a business together, and we get to navigate faith and family and the flip phone or dumb phone life. So Alan's got his flip phone over here.
That's
the
right.
Good old Nokia. The intro song was actually that was a sponsor ringtone there, right?
That was like actually, so it was an original song from like a Spanish guitarist from like the early 1900s. And Nokia tagged that for their flip phone ring. So we have a little homage to Nokia there. But yeah, I think given the fact that this is the Flippin Awesome Podcast, we have to introduce our phone better than we introduce ourselves, at least to start out. So so I have what is called the, this is like the old school grandpa contractor phone. And so it's like hard as a brick, can't destroy it, like military grade, waterproof, kind of, weapon, self-defense weapon. Luke actually has the cooler, more like millennial certified phone. It's called the light phone.
It's a light phone. It's it looks like it's been dropped a lot because it has, but it sustained a pretty large puddle the other day.
That's good.
I was pretty impressed by it. So it's got nothing extremely exciting about it, which is the whole point. No camera, not even a screen. Really, it's like what do they call these?
They're like an e-ink screen.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a Kindle, and it works, but it doesn't do a lot. And I think that's kind of the whole point on why they exist. So check out a little shout out there to the Light Phone and their company. They're doing some really awesome stuff. About to launch their new phone that I am going to snag. So
that's right.
But anyways,
here
we are, Alan and Luke here. Speaking of flip, I will introduce Alan. And
that's right.
Alan, you can introduce me. This is Alan. This is my brother. He's 32. He was born October 3rd.
Social security number is...
Yeah, I can steal his identity or help you if you want to. But yeah, he's a good dude. My best friend. We get to do a lot of life together. When we were 8 years old, I was 8. He was 10. We're on a tobacco farm once. And we said, hey, one day we want to run a company. We want to be business owners together. And then fast forward, wife, some kids later, we realized we're getting old and we need to do this thing. So we actually kind of get to do a whole lot of life together. It's super awesome. I'm super blessed. I love being your bro.
That's good, man.
Yeah, you can introduce me now.
Yeah, Luke's introduction is pretty easy. Luke is really good at talking, and I actually do say that as a big compliment. I always tell people that I'm older than Luke, but Luke's more popular than me, and it's only because Luke makes everyone feel like I don't think it makes everyone feel like they're best friends. I really do believe that like Luke he has that best friend character, which is really, really wonderful. So I always joke that Luke was my brother for like a week in Lexington, and then pretty soon it was like, oh, you're Luke's brother Alan, right?
Watch
and I
out,
was
world.
like, yeah, I am Luke's brother Alan. So hello, my name is Luke's brother, and this is Luke.
And I am Luke,
And
but I don't think that's
Luke.
all true, but I'll take it. So the worst part about me
compliment.
is if I am good at talking, you're going to talk to me whether you like it or not. So,
That's true.
But anyways, let's jump into it.
We'll jump into the first episode. We're really talking today from our note sheet here.
Yeah.
About just like the actual tag. Man, that's just great timing. So that was my phone sound. I told Luke that I was going to leave it on in case it dinged. So just
Boom,
very perfect. But we're going to talk about kind of our tagline for our podcast that's in our intro. It says a podcast about faith, family, and flip phones. And so we'll walk a little bit through that framework today. And then I know we'll dive into details into future episodes and things like that. And then we're going to, from that intro, also hit a few questions of just like, why now? And like, you know, what this looks like to have a dumb phone in our culture. Oh man, that's so great.
Throw that phone. You won't even break it. You won't even break it. You'll put the window out if you throw it.
That's true. That's true. All right, fine. I've muted it. But yeah, well, Luke can kind of get into it a little bit. Kind of walk us through that first component.
Absolutely.
Of faith.
So we'll create a little sandwich here. So for us, Flippy out. So faith for us, I would say, I mean, it's everything. It really is who we are. We strip back what we do and how we do it. It kind of comes back to our foundation. So our faith is the foundation of who we are. We truthfully, it's by God's grace that we're here. We want to be open about that we do. We are people that have faith in the Lord, and we want to be open about that. But we also want this to be a spot and opportunity. Even in starting a podcast, we just kind of we don't do a lot of marketing with our company and even with our lives, and we don't have media or any of those kinds of things, and we just kind of felt like, hey, there's something to how awesome it is just to be where we're at in life. And after praying, we were just like, hey, let's start a podcast. We had a lot of peace about it. So we can't claim any credit for the things that have happened in our life. It really is for the God's glory and goodness, and our hope through this podcast is that we're open about that. Invite you along. From there, talking about family, I think would be really just the focus of what we do. You know, like I said, we're both married, so we both have two incredible wives. We have 2 kids each. We both have boys and girls. And so they get a lot of the time and the attention. So what we are is we're husbands and we're dads and we're business owners. And so operate a family business. And so that is just a lot of the practical application of it. And then the last part of the sandwich I'll let you hit is really just the framework.
So we have faith. We have faith being the foundation. We have family really being like the focus. And then we have flip phones being like the framework for our life. So it really is like in a world where, you know, technology is so prevalent and integrates into all of these things, into so many different components, like we just find that like this simple living really becomes kind of the framework that we see everything through. So it's the thing that allows us to, you know, experience friendship and, you know, our faith and families. Like it all happens within this kind of framework of simplicity, we'll say. And so that's kind of really the third component there. So so faith, family, flip phones. We'll also be talking on this podcast about just our business venture and a couple of business ventures that we have, and just some straight up silliness, because that is who we are, and we've really been looking forward to an outlet to be to say things that our wives tell us we can't say for our company, but that we can say because we're just a little bit silly.
We'll throw in some Airbnb blunders. We run a company that does Airbnb design, hosting, and renovations for people, and there are some very, very, very fun Airbnb stories. Funny ones. We'll give you some of those later. But just to kind of get to the point specifically, I want to do like a little recap very quickly of just the history of why are we here, and we're here to talk about, like I said, those 3 topics. But the flip phone has had a big it's been a big thing. I think we would both say you know, other than getting married, having kids, and obviously getting saved, choosing to have dumb phones in a very smart, high-tech world is probably like the biggest thing about us. Something that we're extremely passionate about. And it starts with your journey, because you're the old soul.
That's right.
Your grandpa.
That's
your
right.
Pop.
Grandpa Al.
So go on. Uncle Al, Grandpa Al, go ahead and take us down memory lane of recapping why 8 years ago did you decide, I think this is a great time to get a flip phone. That's true. And talk us through that. Yeah,
for sure. So this whole journey kind of how we're here is, I mean, it is a very long time coming, but I'll start the plane where it lands, and then I'll tell you where it takes off. So I got married, and about 6 months into marriage, I had a flip phone on and off. I was like the last one of my friends in college to even get a smartphone originally. But about 6 months into marriage, maybe even a little bit less, I had this like conundrum where like I realized that I was super distracted. I kind of just did like an honest audit of my life and really like realized that I think that 98% of the population can't have a smartphone and live life in a healthy way. And everyone justifies themselves in the 2%. And one day I woke up and I just like was like, I'm not in the 2%. And I just, so I did an honest audit to do that. I realized that like walking into marriage, I had seen some distraction things that I had already had, and I wanted to just start off on a good foot. So I just told my wife, I was like, hey, I'm going to switch to a flip phone. This smartphone is dumb. I hate that it's an appendage, that it's like, it's attached to me, that I have made this a third arm. And so I read this passage of scripture that said, if something's causing you to stumble, cut it off. And I just took that very literally. And I think that like in that even just specific to that passage of scripture, I think a lot of people can look at a flip phone or look at other things in their life that may not be inherently sinful and justify it. That it's like, well, I'm not sinning. And there's also another passage of scripture that says, if you like know what you ought to not do and do it, that's sin to you. Or if you know what you ought to do and not do it, that's sin to you. And I think a lot of people, if they were really honest, know that they ought to not be distracted on their phone like they are. And so that's where I was at, as I was like, even if this isn't, one of the 10 commandments, I'm still going to do this honest audit of my life to say, I don't believe this is good for me. I know I should not be distracted while I'm at dinner with my wife or looking at my crotch when I'm driving and texting, and I'm going to give it up. And so that's really where the plane landed, and that's why we're here right now. And then it really did start, like, with, like, the very first device I ever had when I was in middle school was a Nokia brick. And then I transferred to a flip phone and then a Samsung Rant. And then, I made it all the way up to junior year of college with
no sidekick though.
Yeah, no sidekick. But I made it all the way up to junior year of college with a dumb phone. And then I remember what it was like from junior year until getting married, having that season with a smartphone. Yeah. And it was just flanked with anxiety and addiction and distraction. And, when the world is at your fingertips and you have everything, you really, don't have anything. And I think that we're probably the last generation, like the millennial generation, that remembers what life was like before smartphones existed.
Pre-smartphone, yeah.
So that's kind of how I think I knew what it was like to have a simpler device and how healthy life was. And then I had a season where I had a smartphone device and it was not healthy. And so I went back and lo and behold, it got healthy again. It's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of like... It's kind of like, some questions we were going to get into, like why flip phone, why now? I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think the whole appendage thing and it being a part of you, I know you can talk a little bit even more about that, but I know you just kind of had this kind of come to Jesus moment or whatever of just saying like, hey, this is a part of me and it shouldn't be a part of me. I don't know how to put this at its rightful spot of like, the phone should be a tool, right? It should be something that we have that is a tool that is useful, because we're not anti-tech. We're not saying that, because we have microphones and iPads and lights and a roadcaster, and I don't even know what half of these things are and mean. We even have technology on a dumb phone. But when it becomes like your third arm, when you lose your phone, it's nice to be like, I lost my phone. I'll find it in 7 hours, which I can do that now. Yeah. But when you lose it and it's been gone for like 10 seconds and you feel like your whole life is gone, like that is where like kind of the signal goes off. And I think that's kind of really just kind of it being that appendage is kind of what you're getting at there.
Yeah.
And yeah, for me, I think in regards to my recap of my history, I saw my brother do it. I'll make it simple. Saw him do it. Thought he was crazy. I noticed that it was hard and it was challenging. He went back to it, then went back to the flip phone again. And it only took me 6 years to be convinced that I needed to give it up. So that's obviously, I got some thick skin, I guess, is what that means. But for me, same thing. I was struggling with anger. I was struggling with addiction. I struggled with FOMO, so the fear of missing out, not feeling like I was good enough. And just anytime I had my phone, I was just constantly the insecurity just got deeper and deeper, and my habits got worse and worse until, about 2 years ago, I'm almost 2 years old with a dumb phone. And I was Alan's first convert. This is not like a weird group where we're trying to get people to come over to the...
It's not a cult.
It's not a cult. But in a way, we do want people to come over to the flip phone side because life is, it's a lot lighter and it's a lot slower and it's a lot simpler. And shout out our name. We really do. We don't say this pridefully, but like I feel like my life's pretty flippin' awesome.
Yeah.
And it's awesome in ways that I wouldn't even have known if I didn't slow down and just sit in silence and kind of take a step away from just the fast-paced, high-tech world that we kind of live in. And that kind of really helped me.
Hey, let's show them how powerful silence is.
Exactly. Do that for like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and you'll start to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But really, when you get in those moments, I think that's when God can speak to you about who you are. Or remove what you're doing and how you're doing it and all those things, and you're just left with who you are. And really just kind of grow some roots in that foundation and in that framework. And I think it'll take you somewhere in life. But
Yeah.
all right. Well, we got to why flip phone, why now. We kind of hit that already. I did have a few questions just to ask both of ourselves, I think, to kind of help kind of put a bow on faith, family, and flip phone.
Sure.
My question, and this is something that a lot of people bring up when they kind of realize, like, hey, we know you have all these things going on in life and you have very dumb phones in a very not dumb world. And they say, is it challenging? So question to you, is it challenging?
Honest and short answer, yes, it is. But, I have, so Luke said he's coming up on his 2-year anniversary. I'm coming up on my 6th year. So I've had a flip phone 8 of the last 10 years, and the last 5.5 have been like solid. I'm never going back. But yeah, the answer to the question, is it challenging, is 100%.
Yeah.
But there's also that, Luke and I are from the country. There's an expression that our parents always told us, and the people always say, nothing good ever come easy, So nothing good ever come easy means like things that are in life that are difficult for you to get through are often some of the best things. So like marriage, it's wonderful and incredible, the best thing I've ever done. It's also very difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Graduating college was also very difficult.
So hard for me, I never did it.
Yeah. Luke
I'm a 10-year sophomore to this day. So if college isn't your thing, then just know I'm there with you.
That's true.
Don't listen to what the world says about college. Unless you're going to be a doctor, then I would not let you touch me with a 10-foot
That's
pole
true.
if you want to cut me open. But if you want to try to start a podcast, you don't need a college education.
Man.
If you want to run a business, you don't need it. And if you want a dumb phone, this thing makes you feel really good about not having education.
That's true. It's
pretty easy. It's 2 buttons to use it.
To navigate, yeah. But yeah, so all that to say, like, nothing good in life ever came easy. And I think that, like, we've seen that play out with a flip phone. So it is challenging. It is not convenient. And I think a lot of people, when I say a lot, I really do mean probably 90% of people, when they come up and they say they found out I have a flip phone, they'll say, oh my gosh, that's so awesome. I would, but blank. And when that blank, they would insert some inconvenience. They would insert but I need to figure out how to get Apple Maps to get somewhere. Or I would, but I don't know. You have Instagram. Or I would, but how am I going to take photos?
Yeah.
All those kind of things. And so it's like, yes, it is challenging, but like if the follow-up question that I would add to the end of that is it good? And the answer to that is also yes. 100%.
Heck yes.
Heck yes. It is I got saved, I got married, I had kids, and then I got a flip phone. And that is the order of how I see like the best decisions of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we'll actually even, next episode, actually, we're going to kind of get into just like navigating a high-tech world with, just old school simplicity. And we're going to talk about like basically how you can navigate the world. What about maps? What about group chat? What about photos? What about these things? Like I would, but we're going to kind of we're going to kind of address the butts.
We're going to address the butts. That's right.
That's what we're going to do. And
we're big butt guys.
Big butt. B-U-T.
Big B-U-T guys.
Just make that clear, all right? And we'll talk about that, but off of the butts and back to the, is it challenging?
Yeah.
It is challenging, and here's kind of my timeline of what I would say, and you can agree with me or disagree with me or insert your input. Day one, it's like, man, this is cool.
It's cool
and
fun.
This is fun. And then day 2 through 30, it's like, my life sucks right now. Like, this sucks so bad. And then, like, after about 30 days, you just realize, like, oh, this is part of it. And so from, like, month 1 to, like, month 3, you're really kind of creating a new groove, a new way of life and living and thinking and being available and getting back to people. And you're kind of creating a habit. So I think, like, kind of 3 months in, you have a habit. And then, like, after about 3 months, you just kind of forget. You just forget that you're living vastly different than majority of the world. And it's kind of fun because, like, legitimately you could take this phone and it could die on vacation and it could be off for like 7 days and wouldn't even know it. I wouldn't even feel it. And I feel like I choosing to stick this out. And I think that's the thing. If you ever thought about it or questioned it or have even tried to do it, just give it a good 90 days. Just give it a good 90 days and just see, like, again, it's not just the flip phone we're talking about. See if your personal life, if your family life, if your work life, if faith for you starts to get healthier, starts to improve, if you start feeling like you get life back. And I think that's kind of what I'd say. Like, it is challenging, but like that timeline, I feel like it's pretty tried and true to the people that I know that have made this transition. And we do know that there's like several people that have done it.
Sure.
So
yeah.
agree?
What's actually really funny is that you recapping all of that is actually reminded me of like what the actual moment that made me get a dumb phone. And I don't even know if I think you know this, but
I know everything.
Yeah, you know everything. That's right. Everything about me.
Yeah.
But we had actually, me and my wife were taking a trip abroad at that 5-month mark of being married, maybe right at the 6-month mark.
Yeah.
And on the way to the airport, I dropped my phone out of my
I do
pocket
remember this.
in my front yard,
In the yard,
my
baby.
iPhone.
Come
And
on.
so it's in the yard. We're at the airport, and I'm telling my wife, I'm like, I don't have my phone. And I'm just like stressed and freaking the F out. And like we were like running rampant out the house, and she's just like, just don't worry about it. And I'm like, that sounds great. That sounds great to not worry about it. But I was super worried about it.
Yeah.
I called a friend. He went over, checked the front yard. Sure enough, he found it. And it's like, what are you going to do? Have him ship it to you?
Yeah.
And it was like, no. I was like, well, hey, just keep it. I'll get it when I get back. And oddly enough, it was like a couple week vacation abroad. Yeah. And maybe even 3 weeks. I can't even remember exactly what it was, but it was enough time where it was like, what happened was I did is what you said. Day one, I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. It'll be good. And then it was just challenging. But by the end of that trip, I started realizing that like I was enjoying myself.
So it was a smartphone that you dropped.
It was a smarphone that I dropped.
If it was a Nokia, I don't think anyone would walk by and be like, I want that, you know?
No, you wouldn't even care. And so, but that's the difference is it's
exactly.
like, that was the thing that made me realize that life was healthier without it because I accidentally left it on this trip. So once I got back from the trip, I told my wife, hey, this was the healthiest 3 weeks I've had. This is wonderful. I'm going back. Yeah. And that was what made the switch for me.
Yeah, I forgot. I did know that.
I know.
I do know all things, but I did not remember that.
But you don't know all things when you're supposed to know them.
Exactly. That's why you're here.
All right, next question.
All right, next question. So, obviously, like I said, we kind of are working backwards because, you know, the flip phone, it kind of gets a lot of attention, but again, it just supports the main things for us, which is faith and family. And so basically just like how did faith and family play a part in just the way in which we're choosing to kind of, I would say, go against the grain in which the way the world is, and just try to invite people into that and saying, hey, like maybe it is the phone, maybe it's not the phone for you, but there's probably something that feels like a life suck, something that feels like an appendage, something that's causing so much pressure and attention and performance that you feel like you're chasing after. Like maybe it's a job, Maybe it's a certain relationship that you're trying to get approval on. Maybe it's a phone. You can kind of interchange those things. But faith and family for us, those grounding points were really important in helping us to carry that out.
For sure.
So what did you have to say about that?
I think with if I was going to say, if we broke them down, faith and family, the way that faith impacted this decision and that really plays a part in our whole life, but definitely for this decision of having a flip phone, it really gets down to that, to the word freedom. I think when I was talking to someone about starting this podcast and they were like, why do you want to start it? And I started hedging, just being oh, well, we're not going to do this. And I because you don't want to actually say why. And, and really in my spirit and in my heart, the answer was freedom.
Yeah, man.
I want to see people.
That'll preach.
I want to see people walking in freedom. And that really is my greatest desire in life, is to see people walking in freedom, because I know that the norm is people walking in bondage and walking in difficulty, and life is hard. And so I just want to be able to see people walk in freedom, even in the midst of difficulty, even in the midst of those things. So I think that that would not be a desire of my heart had I not experienced freedom in Christ, had I not experienced freedom in my faith. And Here First, Luke and I both, we're not here to say we're going to force this faith on you, and this is this. We know that we have an opinion. We know that we have our faith journey. We know that we have our life, and we're going to speak from that testimony, because that's the most authentic way we can communicate to you. We know that other people have other faith journeys, other differences, that people don't have the same, same worldview and viewpoint as us, and we're all about respectfully disagreeing and living, in that space. But for us, that really was the driving factor for, for while we're doing this, for the decision to have everything kind of geared from that spot of, I want to please God. I want to be the most available to Him to do things that are good. And it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out that smartphones are not super healthy for you to be a good human being. Truthfully. And that's how it felt to me, at least. And so I would say that was the faith component. I think that the family component, it was simply just, I wanted to be more present. I wanted to be present with my wife. I knew one day we would have kids, and lo and behold, I wanted to be present with them too.
And you got kids, and you got a wife.
And I got kids, and I have a wife.
Hey,
and all of them.
Game's on, man. You got to be present.
Also, too, to that point, I know that once I got married, that was a big reason why I ended up making the jump over. But you kind of were sharing with me about how when you had kids, that was kind of the change for you. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. For me with kids, presence to the moment. When I walk through the door, I have this beautiful little, just turned 4 Shiloh that just wants all the attention. She wants, her world right now is when Daddy and Mommy notice her and just get down on their knees and engage, and just that's it. That conveys to her, I am important, I'm valued, I'm loved. This person is for me. And truthfully, there would be moments in life where I'd walk through the door after a long day at work, and I would just be on a phone call. I'd be distracted. I'd be thinking and bringing work home with me, and could physically see the disappointment in my daughter. Since then, obviously, we've added another one, little Judah man. He's awesome. He's 8 months today, but that's kind of it went off. And sorry to my wife, it should have happened before then. And there were definitely moments of it. But for me, I just realized that if there's anything that I want, right, remove what I do and how I do it. If I'm left who I am, I want to be a present and available person to the people that know me most and best. And I don't want to be distracted. And I'm not perfect by any means, so get that clear. There are constantly things that I'm continuing to have to look at and to inspect and to pray through and to remove. It's an everyday thing, but that is something that it's one of my ambitions in life. Is that I want to spend time and make memories with the people that love me most, because that is my calling. Yeah. That is what I do. I am Shiloh and Judah's dad, and I am Allie's husband, and they deserve to get Luke. They don't deserve to get a distracted Luke. They get a fully engaged, all in, both eyes, full mind, all head, all heart, all hands, all butt, you know, all of it, like all of me. And there's days I do that well, and there's days I don't. And I think like I'll work it backwards. So that's family.
Yeah.
I think the really the foundational part, which I think can get so easily overlooked, is how do you do that? And for me, it is faith.
Yeah.
It's closest to God produces, it's the byproduct. So closeness to God gives you the byproduct of being an available dad, and a present father, and a loving husband, and someone that's willing to sacrifice and do the hard things. If I didn't have closeness to God, I wouldn't do it, because I just naturally in me, there's not a good bone in my body or thing inside of me on my own. And so like I would just find another distraction. So if I can scale back and really focus on, being in the Word and being with the Father and praying and asking God, like, who do you want me to be? And I want to be close to you. Then that produces the byproduct of those things. Yeah, so that's kind of how faith and family have played a part, for sure. Yeah. Closeness and presence for both, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I get it.
All right. So last question, and this one's fun. Is just kind of like what's, like I said, if one person listens to this and is like, man, like I want to grow my faith, I want to be better at family, I'm considering like the flip phone life or a dumbed down version of technology or something else in regards to that nature, and we had to like give them the sales pitch or give them maybe even like the proof, like what's like our 1 flex of like, this is it. What would it be? I know mine, I'll just jump into it real quick.
I was going to say, I can say yours. I did see like your note on it, but I also know because you told me this one day. Yeah. But you literally said, and you can answer mine since we're flipping everything.
Yeah, man.
You came in, you're like, Allie told me that she won't let me go back to having a smartphone.
She will not.
And so like when you told me that, for me, it was so cool because it was like for the longest time, I always told to Luke, I was talking to like an audience of none, which is funny because I didn't have anyone. You
got that one, baby.
And then once you switched over, I really was, not because it's not even because I like wanted to be like, yeah, I got one. It was really just because I was like, listen, guys, like it's like when you start a new diet and you feel incredible and you're like I want everyone to know how incredible I feel.
It's like I don't eat gluten anymore.
Yeah, I don't
feel inflamed.
I don't feel inflamed, and it's amazing, and I never will again. It's like I don't feel, bloated with all this other stuff from like smartphone life, and it feels so good, and I want other people to feel this. So when you told me that, and I was like, man, like Luke's on board, but also now like your wife was advocating for you because she said that she had seen like the healthiest version of you that she's ever seen.
Absolutely.
And so like that's awesome.
I think my biggest flex is I couldn't come up with something, so I just stole Allie's words. That is definitely it. That she said, I didn't believe you. I didn't think it was going to work. Which that is, for short being, you're very addicted to your phone, and there's no way you're ever going to put it down. And quickly within, I'd say 2 to 3 months, she said, "You're a completely different person. This is who I married." And I will not let you go back because I love you. And that really is, and I'm grateful because I know that that's nothing that I could do on my own. Like it is the fact that I had support from my family, from my wife, having my kids that desired to be with me, having you to be a supporter for me. So you really do have to have people around you to kind of keep you headed in that right direction. That's with anything in life. Yeah. You need good community and people that are speaking truth and encouragement, but also I think a big thing we overlook in our world, and I even think in like the culture that we're in, a lot of like Christian culture and community, is sometimes we want to be so careful that we're afraid to challenge people. I know we've talked a lot about this, that we're afraid to just tell people like, hey, that's a bad habit and you need to quit it right now. Or like go sit in timeout, and we kind of like are in a culture where it's like, hey, it's okay, and like, yeah, I know you spend 4 hours on your phone and your kids want your attention, but everybody does it. And Allie and you were the two voices in my life that said, stop being dumb. Yeah, like go dumb, like go get a dumb phone and be smart.
Yeah.
You really, like, dumb phones help you be smart about the simple things in life. And when you can get the small, mundane things in life right, I think you get your whole life right. I really think you do.
Yeah.
I think you are successful whenever you can look at your top 3 to 4 relationships and say, I spend most of my time doing those things really well.
Yeah.
And everything else, maybe I'm not as good at it, but who cares?
But I got the main things,
The main things are the main things.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's also too like I will be one that says this. I really do believe there are people who can have a smartphone and live a healthy life. So I'm not the one who's trying to wave it over someone's head and make them feel bad if they don't. I just believe that most people justify themselves in the small 2%, and I think that that's really where I'm trying to question that. I'm trying to question the people that are like thinking it's better than it really is, and so and when I say question, I really just mean challenge, like so that people can rise to the occasion, so that people can live a healthy life, and really just for people who want to. If I'm talking to someone and they're like, "Bro, I'm never doing that, man. I love my phone," I'm like, "That's great." Like I'm talking to the people who are like, man, I've actually really thought about doing that, and XYZ. That's who I'm like. I know I have experience to give and share, and those are really the people that I think, even for this podcast or whatever in our lives, that we want to encourage is for people who have thought, man, I've thought about that. I would love to do that, but we'll address the buts next episode and really get into that. But I think it's possible to have it and live a healthy life. I even think for our wives, we would say that we're in spots where like our wives have like a healthy relationship with it to a degree, but even both of them have kind of recently decided that they're going to go.
They'll be on the train sooner or later.
Yeah, as well. So I think that my wife actually just ordered a phone called the Wise Phone. To do a very similar thing, and then I even think that you said your wife was mentioned she was going to as well. So very proud moments for us. Yeah. So, but anyways, well, hey, I think we're probably approaching the end.
I think this is what you're supposed to do.
I think this is what you're supposed to do. Is you're supposed to stop your podcast so that people can get on with life.
Yeah. So just recap. I guess recapping what we hit on is Flippin Awesome. That's our podcast. We feel that way about our lives. We want you to feel that about yours. Highlight was faith, family, and flip phone. Faith being the kind of foundation, family being kind of the focus, and flip phone being the framework. And then we just kind of uncovered just like why flip phone, why now? That, people feel like it's an appendage. We know it's a life suck. Yes, it's challenging, but it's totally worth it. We talked about how faith and family played a big part in helping us make that jump and that leap. And we just kind of flexed on people there with, here's our selling point. And and if you have any interest in it, as Alan said, like if you've thought about it, then like that. I think the more conversations we have with people, like they just naturally come up. I think everyone. I wouldn't say everyone has thought about it, but a large majority of people have, and more conversations. And even we've seen a lot of people kind of taking the jump, making the leap, and hearing just incredible stories of just how it really has changed and shaped the way in which marriage is done and family is done and life is done and business is done, Yeah,
for sure. This is also the part of the podcast where we're supposed to say, like, and if you want a device, we actually did.
Our call to action.
Yeah, our call to action is we knew that in this and in the episodes to follow that there will be a spot to basically plug different devices that we've looked into or different things that we found. I have a Kyocera Verizon flip phone. It is not sexy. It gets the job done.
Sexy, and
but
I know
if you're hard on a device, it's a good device for you.
Take a photo.
You can actually take a photo. It sounds hilarious. Hold on one second. Let's this is real talk. Let's see. Hold on a second. There we go. That's right.
All right.
It can take a photo. Luke's device we talked about.
Let me take a photo.
It's the light phone. It does not have a photo camera on it. It's very simple. It's very cool, but check out Light Phone. And then another device that we have not had, but that we have been following for a little while. It's called the Wise Phone 2. It's by a company called Techless. We actually set up a little like affiliate thing with them in case people wanted like a discount on their device. So if you use code Flippin, FLIPPIN, that's it. On their website, you can actually get a little discount. I believe it's like $25 off.
Okay.
It might be more than that.
Yeah.
It might be less than that. I might actually be totally full of it. But it'll give you a little bit of a discount off that device. But it's kind of like, I think it would be the device for people transitioning from smartphone to dumb phone, because it still has a camera, but it limits all of your apps. It still has map function and some of those things that people
you just
really
can't get
look for.
applications in it. Yeah.
Yeah, you just can't do applications and
But
things like that.
that's kind of the point.
That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
So anyways.
And this one, the Light Phone, I've really enjoyed the Light Phone. They have the Light Phone 2, but they're also releasing the Light Phone 3. So it's kind of like everything good about the Light Phone 2 plus some more features. They put a point and shoot camera, so it's kind of like going to be like the Polaroid like crank cameras.
That's good.
So you can't see it after you take it, but it will have like a photo option. It's a little bit bigger of a screen. And I've heard a lot of great reviews. They're running a special for the next little bit on actually the Wise Phone and the Light Phone.
That's true.
But feel free to check those companies out. We'll put some information.
We'll put some information in the bio
somewhere,
on those.
somewhere
in the metaphorical
sky.
bio.
Yeah.
It is funny with all of this because this is for you all to know. Like, we are tech savvy in that we are millennials. I used to run an audio company, like a DJing company, so I do know audio to a bit.
DJL.
But we have dumb phones, and we are very like, this really is like a simple learn as you go kind of thing. So you all might kind of grow with us as we grow in quality, as we grow in understanding, as we grow in even like what to do. Like we definitely don't want this podcast to be
like with my hands right
now.
Like,
yeah. What do we do?
Here,
what do we do with our hands? You know.
Yeah.
But it's like we want you all to grow with us as we grow, and we want this to be very authentic. We don't want this just to be. We're not going to say the things that you're supposed to say on a podcast because it's going to make you more popular. Like, if anything, if we created this YouTube channel so that you so you didn't have YouTube on your phone, like it's like an anti-channel, that would be more of a win for us. Like, if you
cancel us and cancel your phone,
yeah,
please.
If you got rid of your social media, like, it's a weird thing to use this as a platform for that. But truthfully, it's like, I think that there's a way to do all of these things in a healthy way, maybe at a device like a computer when it's intentional and you can, open it. So with all of this to say, like, we're going to learn as we grow. We appreciate you guys joining in to listen to us speak. And I don't know, we're really looking forward to the future. And I think that that's a great time to stop the call, to stop the podcast.
Flip phone mastery next podcast. Talking about like the white elephant in the room. Like, I would, but how do I do this?
The elephant in the room.
The elephant in the room. Your wife is calling.
Yeah, this is a great time to stop.
So we probably need to get off here.
That's true.
But we love you. Thanks for listening.
Love you guys. We'll talk soon. See ya.